A while back, I had a great teaching experience. I rented my mother's house once she had passed to a man who looked great on paper. He had great references, a good income, and seemed quite reliable. But very quickly, I realized there was something else going on. I was doing a project at the house that took longer than I thought. So he had already moved in before this patio that I was having built was completed. So one day I went over there to check on the progress, and this new tenant completely went off on me, just raged in my face about how long this project was taking. And he'd only been in there a few days and only had to wait a few more days for it to be completed. So what I realized right away was that I had signed a contract with a rager. And over the next 8 years that he was my tenant there, I had many encounters with that vibration. It was scary for me and challenging for me, and I don't know why I didn't just end our lease and stop it, but it was my perfect teaching. So what I had to learn to do was stay steady in the presence of his rage. And it was an amazing experience. But after 8 years, I was tired of being a landlord. I had, on other properties, rented them out for 30 years, and I was ready to be free of that responsibility. So I told him that I was leaving, and he said, "Great, I'm leaving too. I'm going to Germany, and I have a tenant for you who really is eager to rent this house." And I told him, "I'm actually selling the house. I don't want to rent this house." But he insisted I meet with this tenant because he had agreed to give everything he owned to this young man and fly off to Germany with no cares in the world. So I met with the young man, and he wasn't able to pay the rent I wanted, and he wanted to have a dog there. So the whole thing wasn't fully working for me, but I was so afraid of this tenant's rage that I said yes. I went home and had 2 nights of sleeplessness because I knew that I wasn't doing what I truly wanted to do. So I went back to this new tenant and said, "No, I am not renting to you." I went to my previous tenant and said, "I am not renting to him. I am selling the house, and you need to get it ready to sell." That's when he raged on me and said that he had no time to empty out the house before he moved to Germany. He had his flight booked. He had immigration interviews set up when he got to Germany, and he insisted that his stuff stay at the house. I gave in, and that was my thing, is I had such a hard time saying no to that violent vibration. So I agreed to let him fly off and leave everything in the house, and that I would deal with it. And I thought maybe I could sell some of it, donate it, and maybe I would come out ahead. But it turns out none of the stuff was very good. And what was good, I just donated to this beautiful Afghan family who really needed it. And by the time I finished cleaning out the house with all the mouse poop in the garage and everything, I was actually sick for a week and spent that week in bed. So I had plenty of time to think about my part in this. And that part was my inability to say no. And from this came my poem, "The Land of No," from my new book, I Am Love. I should have said no to that tenant who left his stuff in my house. I should have said no to that friend who insisted we ride that treacherous trail. I should have said no to the vampire, the bully, the diva, and the leaner, but I could not. I am too well trained in the art of creating a mirage of yeses. It is a lovely world I conjure for others. No opposition, only pleasing. No meanness, only nice. They can relax because I have this. I can take the pain, the discomfort, the crap, all for their pleasure. I am the geisha of yes. But then one day, my true heart bursts forth and yells, no, no, no! With scarlet lipstick, I write the word on the bathroom mirror as large as my head. Still, since my yes training is so deep and old, my matrix dies a bloody death. Only when I move inward and take hold of the beloved's hand can I enter the land of no. This place is more real. People are less happy with me. Rather than pools of honey, it has concrete sidewalks and sometimes a pounding jackhammer. That tenant, mate, or employer may have a crinkle in their brow. They may shake their heads and even yell at me. But one day they understand. There is someone here, a live soul with agency. Respect is born, or they slink away. That mirage I tried to create for others now expands inside me. It's a place of soothing love baths, waterfalls of power, a doorway to safety. Most of all, a deep knowing that all those wayward yeses weren't a mistake. I said yes to life, to learn, to come to know the God within. As all experience teaches me to say no to the lower and yes, yes, yes to the true life on high.